And to shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Mohamed Azim, Professor of Political Science. Dr. Azim, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Sir, how do you see the timing of the Asian tour by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi?
Actually, this tour representing the role of Egypt actually to mostly of international crisis currently which had happened, and representing that how Egypt really right now try to figure mostly of the crisis, the impact of both of COVID-19 and Russian-Ukrainian crisis on the whole region and all the world countries. So mostly current issues on the table for the mostly of negotiations for this tour, Egyptian tour in India, and for both of Armenian and Azerbaijan negotiations for both of the presidents over there, and mostly of the timetable of the both of agenda for the all of negotiations representing that Egypt to try to think and to figure out and find out lots of solutions for the economically and the financially problems for the most of the all the world countries.
Yes. Actually, sir, in Yerevan, Armenia, President Sisi lauded the ties between the two sides. How would you describe here ties between Cairo and Yerevan?
The Armenian really Egypt relations with the deeply aspect since a long time. So today, for this, I think historically visiting, try to let all the world understanding how that Egypt have to focus on the tens of thousands of Armenians, people who really contributed and political, culture, economically alive here in Egypt, and to try to addressing most of the, the establishment of diplomatic ties relations. So for a long time, like more than 30 years. And here's the point how to the presence of the Armenia, which is right to hostility and also the impact of the climate and how to positively try to work that is talks, which is focused on living of some different solutions and dimension for economically or energy crisis or other culture and other problems all over the region too.
Yes. Also, sir, President Sisi said that leaps by Egypt in the energy and the green hydrogen were discussed at the visit to Armenia. How would you describe here the drive in these two fields?
Egypt tried to invest the occasions of COP27 since 3 months, which is hosted over there in Sharm el-Sheikh, and to try to make announcements for the world. How we have to working on to make like sustainable development, which is working with using the green energy or environmental energy. That's one of the aspects and mainly aspect which Egypt to try to work on. And at the same time, according to the economic crisis, Egypt to try to make like different kind of solutions with the cooperative aspect with the neighborhood countries like Armenia's government to work on to green hydrogen establishment factors over in Egypt and other solutions. It's presenting with this agenda of Egypt try to underline the importance of joint working with Armenia in this field.
Yes. How would the economic cooperation here benefit both sides, Dr. Abdel Azim?
Recently crisis, as I just mentioned, representing we have to work in cooperative together as all the countries for this issue. And this recently visit or trip by Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in India and Azerbaijan and eventually in Armenia, they try to show how the Egypt to try to lead all the world working on the deeply economic talks to have a really significant solutions towards some issues. So Mr. Abdel Sisi, from the aspect of Egypt, to try to let the whole world understand the aspect for Egypt to have like an opening a free trade areas for trading and economically issues. At the same time, I try to working on to activate the mechanism of trade by joint community of economic and significance of techniques, as well as with business forms over there with Armenian works. And Egypt to try to make most of efforts to remove any obstacles for the foreign investors over here, actually mostly of investment over here in Egypt. So that is one of points which is working on for both of that. And at the same time, we try to representing how especially of the Suez Canal economically zone with the free issues toward Armenian investment. That is one of the most points just discussed over there on the table for these talks.
Of course. Also in India, this security cooperation was among the topics in the spotlight during the talks between both leaders. How do you weigh the cooperation between both Egypt and India in this domain in particular, Dr. Abdel Azim?
Mostly of really experts understand the role of India toward international economic issues, and they know that India works with the most of great power according to the role of one of the promising country in the economic field. This is very important this thing, representing that Egypt try to work on the line with India to find out or figure out how to make like a different kind of ways of discussion to implement the most of projects and working on how to both of Egypt and India can figure out for a longer friendship and building the countries to be able overcoming current stages of armed with the challenges for flourishing the future for both of countries. And that is India recently tried to play a very great role as a balancing for the great power conflict. So Egypt right now try to figure out how to make building a friend relation for both of the superpower over here in all the countries, especially in the region, working on and figure out that it could really happen by to enforce the relation or parallel relation with India too.
Yes, sir. How would the extension here of the Ukrainian war impact the global food security scene?
Mostly of recently experts reports presenting that is kind of work could really still for longer than I think just 10 months or maybe 1 year than more than that right now. So according to that, we have to understand that is it's a part of a very negatively impact for the different kind of aspects for the region, not for just Egypt, for most of the countries. So from my point of view, this is kind of this thing representing that Egypt and Mr. Abdel Sisi try to work for a strategic aspect towards all the world that we have to work on and to figure the way of solution for this war firstly, and try to work on the negative impact which we could really still on the ground for the future years too.
Yes. Finally, Dr. Abdel Azim, how do you see Cairo's drive to strengthen ties with Asia?
Egypt to try working very keen with relation with different regions of the world, because we have to understand the strategic conflict for domaining region all over the world. So to work on the very specifically important region on the world of like in Asia, and they try to to make an effort to develop relation with the countries like Azerbaijan or India and Armenia. It's one of the significant works by the leadership of Egypt. So we have to understand that and make more analytical aspects for that work on the following time. Sure.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Mohamed Abdel Azim, Professor of Political Science, thank you so much for your precious input, sir. And the visit to Armenia wrapped up an Asian tour that included Azerbaijan and India. Political coordination, economic and security cooperation, and issues of common concern topped the agenda of the talks at the visits. More details.